Alright, continuing with some of the stuff that I've sent to UN. There is an engine I call Puncher. Puncher is the engine capable of space flight. Okay. Space flight in zero gravity. I'm going to just read you out of the letter. Introduction. About a week or so ago, I watched on NASA TV an astronaut explain the power of extending arm of U.S. space shuttle, which on Earth cannot lift its own weight, but in space is able to handle the entire shuttle, and was used in remodeling Mir station. This is like a few weeks from the date I said, like November. Probably this was in the beginning of October of 2006. I watched it on NASA TV when I had the dish. This TV interview encouraged me even more to evaluate my technology and made me wonder, does the gravity, 9.81 average, represent the ratio of power possible to achieve in space as compared on Earth, without air, wind, and gravity itself standing in the way? Possibly, but for right now, all we need to know is that in space it's easier to exercise power than on any astronomical body that has gravity. And so, based on the fact that any power used for propulsion is greater in space than it is on Earth, the active part of the ship would simply consist of two components, and under two conditions. Components are: 1. Powerful moving magnet, controllably rotating magnet with a like a wheel, and then you have magnet on the part of one half, and 180 degrees on the other half. But it's a complete wheel with only magnets on opposite sides. The width of the magnet part, depending on what kind of power, what kind of thing you want to do. And 2, exposed to space, stationary part of the ship's frame. Now, frame itself would be like attracting to magnets. So, as magnet comes around and starts attracting the part of the frame, it jerks the ship forward, right? So as it turns around, it jerks it some more. Let me see. Conditions 1. Recognizing the fact that asteroids are constantly controlled by forces of gravity as well as the movements and collisions with each other, producing from time to time something I call spontaneous acceleration, which means you hit the body, it goes until it hits again, goes faster, and it hits again, goes faster. I got this from I got inspired into it by movie Deep Impact, when the character of Morgan Freeman was explaining how the asteroids bump into each other. Now, if rotating magnet passes by exposed frame of the ship, it will cause attraction from the back, which will push entire ship forward. I also believe that the speed acquired in the free space, and now I'm going to classify what I think free space is. Space free from gravity forces or any other astronomical event is the speed that is accumulative in nature and go faster and faster due to inertia achieved initially. What this means, if your magnet comes around and makes the ship go 5 miles, next time it comes around, could go not only not 10 miles, but maybe 15 or so, because it's already has inertia. So it's not double the speed. Due to inertia, it's more. Could be not 5 to 10, but 5 to 15. Just my experiments would have to be done, in that regard. But that's how it would work. It's the most simple thing. Whether the it's a speed that's accumulative in nature due to inertia achieved initially. Whether that accumulation is exponential or otherwise mathematically predictable doesn't even matter. That will have to be determined by experiments, because I believe that the opposing force to spontaneous acceleration, I named it SA, spontaneous acceleration, is the force of constant momentum, CM, as I call it. CM is already used for rocketry on shuttles and space rockets. As the constant force, that's the key to understanding it. Constant force, Cm is already used for rocket shortness time, as the constant force of rockets not only pushes rockets forward, but also prevents time from playing the necessary role in space flight. So rocket pushes it, but it pushes it. It's constant push. All right. If it had time to, if it allowed time to play a necessary role in the space flight, it would be different. Here's what I mean by it. In space, if something pushes, you will float away, but before the floating, there is the punch that made you float to begin with. And so between the punch and floating away, there was some time needed for your body to acquire the constant floating speed. Therefore, if rockets in free space are turned on and off, the time in between that is needed for the rocket to acquire floating constant speed for free space, they would eventually achieve floating speed equal and greater than their maximum rocket power on its own. Now hit it, you wait, it goes, you hit it and wait, it goes again, because there is initial achieved. If you can do that with 30 to 50 small rockets and achieve the speed with such little jerks, with the experiments already having determined what would be the ratio of inertia, additional inertia achieved. So you wouldn't have to use that much fuel. But that would also mean that you have to have 200% reliable ignition engine thing going on. It has to be technology of that kind. But that's what I'm going with that. Punch with punches. Right? That's why I call it constant jerk of magnetic attraction. That's why I call it puncher. You punch it, punch it, punch it. So this would be the puncher. There needs to be time necessary to play the role in such travel space technology. All right. Now, let's say the Earth and the Moon, they're attracting each other and whatever, but in between them there is a gravity force, and somewhere there is overlapping. All right. So let's say the ship is here, away from both gravity forces. That would be the zero gravity, the true zero gravity, where you're not attracted by. That's where the engine would work. We would still need some kind of rocket power to get us out of the gravity field, but that's where above, in that true zero gravity, you can use these puncher engines. This is what's going on. All right, floating speed equal and greater than their maximum rocket power on its own. Now that you know that, you're the best space pilot ever. Now that you know how to manipulate the puncher, you can manipulate the flight in any way you want. I mean, so far we've been rotating the Earth constantly. That's great. But let's say if our sea explorers just studied the sea itself without sailing, they would never find the continent. We have to have the courage to simply shove off towards Mars or whatever, and it would be a suicide mission. I mean, if we don't know what's going on and how to. But somebody has to try. Somebody has to try an engine like this one that would preserve the fuel and then give us the momentum necessary with this punching thing and whatever. So for the experiments, we would need something. You know what? I have like less than a minute. Vaccine room. All right. I call it. It's a room from which you take out the air. It's also, I saw it from the movie Armageddon, and there is a vacuum. Within this vacuum, here is how you find out. I have this here. Here is like a vaccine room, and here is a pendulum that I call hanging from the ceiling and on this thing, and here this little thing here that is on this little whatever. This would be like a mock-up of a spaceship with a puncher. And here is, in this vacuum space, how we would find out the ratio of inertia and the increase in everything. It would go around and round and round this little pole that's hanging from the ceiling. That's all there is